Let's talk about this list here. It's pretty juicy. 2 5-star visits. It looks like to be there. Nakeem Ord, what's his name? Nakeem
Naeem offered,
Naeem.
or offered, however you say his name. He's Ohio State commit.
5-star cornerback and 5-star Jamie French, wide receiver. And then, of course, 5-star safety,
DJ Pickett.
DJ Pickett. He's on an unofficial visit. The other two are on official visits. Jamie French is an interesting one. Keep that name in mind. It goes to the same school at Mandarin as Tramel Jones. And obviously, there's been some noise about Tramel Jones possibly on a flip alert. I think we got their decommitting from FSU. They obviously have some ruffles going on. They fired their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. There's been some ruffles with their offensive lineman and Solomon Thomas. A lot of movement happening there. And again, Jamie French getting the ball passed to him from Tramel Jones. You could always feel like, could there be a 1-2 punch? Now, I've learned my lesson on not buying into that possibility of getting the combo package. But again, DJ Lagway obviously is a huge pull as well for any big-time wide receiver. We've got a few wide receivers that are shopping around, so this would be a nice pickup if we're able to make some moves this next weekend. Miami is also in the mix for Jamie French, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But yeah, Naheem offer kind of out of nowhere. I haven't heard this name, to be quite honest, at all. And so could we see Florida take a different approach to this recruiting class too? That's what I wanted to talk about, and I've kind of said this, is say, look, just go get 10 to 15 5- and 4-star guys. Try to get me as much LJ McCrae's and DJ Lagway-esque players that can kind of make an impact day one, and just go be dumb aggressive in the portal. You're not in the place, in my opinion, to stock up talent. You've lost that ability, right? You can't go get a 26 commits and have 20 of those be 3-stars, and that's just not gonna. There's no need for it, right? Because your future is definitely getting a little more glim as it moves on. Like, that's not being negative. That's just a matter of a fact. So be very precise with your decisions. If you can just go take that lump sum of money and just go give it to 10 really good guys in this next class and then go get it. I understand future that could make a bump, but you can make up for that later on. The portal allows for you to be aggressive. It allows for you to take different approaches than what we would normally see. So with these big time names, I mean, this has got to be probably one of the bigger weekends, I would say, like this much higher quality talent. I feel like I said this before. We've had weekends in non-football weekends like this, but at a game, I feel like this is probably one of the bigger splashes that they're going after. Now, some can say it's LSU, Florida, and that's where you can, the young other kid, I can't think of his name, I'm drawing a blank here, the safety that's committed to LSU currently. What's his name? On the unofficial visit.
Are you talking about DJ Pickett?
DJ Pickett, keep dropping his name. Obviously, He's committed to LSU, so has he just taken an opportunity to come to get a ticket to the game? Could be, but we know Florida has always been in the mix. And to be fair, LSU's defense hasn't looked good, and I think Will Harris has done a great job with his cornerback room and making it play to a higher caliber. Could that be speaking some volumes? Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting looking at this visitor list because, I mean, you go back, you look at past games, not many kids visiting. I think the announcement of, the Napier announcement from Scott Strickland probably, resonated a little bit with kids saying, okay, well, he's going to stay another year. Maybe I should check out Florida. That probably is one of the factors. I think the other factor is DJ Lagway being the quarterback of the future. So now these kids know that DJ Lagway will at least be there for next year. So a lot of these offensive guys are probably a little bit more interesting. You got to think too, this is Florida's really big last home game. I know they got Ole Miss, but it's a noon game. I mean, I don't know. I'm not big on noon games, but probably, this will be a little bit bigger of a game because it is Florida LSU too. And you talk about you don't want to see a lot of 3-stars in the class or whatever. And I think that, with this new announcement of, okay, well, we have all this buyout money and we're going to use it in the portal. I think you got to be really, really careful down the stretch too, because you don't want a 5-star guy or a high 4-star guy that would say, hey, I want to commit from this class. You don't want to tell them no. Obviously there's money and NIL involved into those things and talks like that, but you also want to be very, very careful to save open spots for transfer portal players because of some of the offensive linemen you're going to lose, maybe some D linemen, wide receivers, that type of stuff too. So you got to kind of really be careful here down the stretch. Obviously, the transfer portal window doesn't happen until, a little bit into December, and then it lasts 30. It's a 30-day. I think it's now they shortened it from 45 to 30 days. So
Did Rocket Money finding subscriptions you forgot about or any you paid for twice and didn't realize it. Rocket Money is a financial app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I talk about this. What's so fantastic about this app is not just because it finds the subscriptions and helps you cancel those things out, which is fantastic because I know myself spends a lot of money on subscriptions because you forget about them, but it also helps you track your spending for the month. You can see where it's going, whether it's entertainment, whether it's food, whether your wife takes your card and goes buy too many coffees or candles, because candles are not buy one, get one for Christmas, right? I can see like, well, why is this going here? It shows you by the colors. Well, your little personal account in your pocket, which is fantastic. I think it's healthy to be educated on your finances. And also, once you plug everything in, if you own a house, if you have a car, it shows you your net worth. I think it's weird for us to, you think when you think net worth, you think like the millionaires and billionaires, like what's Billy's net worth once he gets his $26 million buyout. Anyways, so all these things, I think it's very informative to be on top of your finances, and Rocket Money allows for you to be more on top of those things and to help you save your money. So Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/hightopsports.
You just got to be really careful, man, down the stretch. I mean, these next 2 months are going to be very vital for Florida, especially when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to transfer portal. So, it could shape up to be an interesting month. I mean, I know that a lot of Florida Gator fans, including me, you've seen my tweets. I'm not really happy with what happened, but of course, I've got to accept it, right? We're sitting here. We have to accept it. Billy Napier's coming back. So, let's see what we can do between November and December, and maybe some people aren't feeling as bad with the decision by the end of December.
Yeah, I think we'll have you're going to have to, right? At the end of December, I mean, we could go into January kind of how we were this year with like, hey, there's some pieces that were moved. We made some changes on the coaching side, and it's like, okay, we have some reason to be optimistic. I think you need to have that same feeling and then some. And Q even said we kind of had a pigeonhole ourselves into where, yeah, we got to kind of put our eggs into a basket. And like I said, look, the portal can be a curse and a blessing. You've got to utilize it to your advantage. And in a weird way, it allows for you to kind of get out of these holes that you've dug yourself into if you can navigate it properly. And that's where I think we're at right now. Again, the recruiting class is not at the sexiest place it can be. It's not over. And look, here's we got to flip the other side, because when we were up great last year, all I kept hearing from people, doesn't matter till they sign the dotted line. Doesn't matter till they sign. Like, that was the comment section galore. Anytime we would hype up this class, like, none of it matters. And it all came true. Like, none of it mattered until they signed the dotted line. Yeah. Now that roles are reversed and we don't have anybody, everyone's like, we suck. It's this. Well, the same message applies for this now, but into our advantage. Like, hey, none of these kids are out of the question until the dotted line is signed. So could we see a massive overhaul and land some big ones? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't know. Look, I would be the finish of the class means nothing to me if we do land 15 just solid guys that are like, hey, going to come in and make an impact right around. Micah Bora, off defensive lineman, he's had some huge impact, right? He's played a ton this year. So Pup Howard was a big time get that we got out of the portal. He's been a huge impact as well. So there's guys out there where you can piece this properly. Again, your eggs are in a basket, but this is kind of the bet that we've made. We've got a lie in. I just saw too, by looking at the report, Pup Howard is out, which is not good. That defense just got a little bit thinner as we move on to it.
Yeah, it's one of those games, man, where, I mean, you look at it, I'm sure we're going to get into talking about LSU here in a second, but like, you look at it, and this will be 6 times in a row Florida's lost LSU if they lose. And I'm kind of tired of losing to LSU because the last time we beat them was the Joe Burrow pick six. I guess you could call it the kick six because it was a repeated kick six from like the Brandon Spikes era. But I mean, I'm tired of them coming into the swamp and winning, man. We got to pull this one off.
I agree. We're gonna break it down a little bit more, but it's gotten a little out of hand. Gator Believer says $2 says, are the boosters going to support ball sack? And we were actually talking about this before the show. I think there are. I mean, they have been vocally boosters that are not pleased with the decision, but I've also myself I've heard that there's some that have supported, and I think there's just which ones are supporting it probably have the bigger bag or give you more. And I think that's kind of what it ended up being. So I do think that you're by the class that you're seeing or the visits that are happening, there has to be some support, right? I think there definitely probably was a hold in it of like, where are we going with this? There probably was a little bit of landlock of what decision was going to be made. And again, I think that's why that message was sent out to say like, we're not doing anything. We can continue to move forward. And some people argue like, why do we even have to do that? It is what it is. That's where we were. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, look, I agree. Like, I don't agree with the decision, but at the same time, we are stuck with the decision. So we might as well see what we can do outside of that.
Real Army Sniper $5 says, can we discuss Famo's retweet talking about how Napier pulled a Mullen recruiting wise, but no one said anything? I don't know what he retweeted to speak on it.
Yeah, I don't either. Dang it. What did you retweet, Steve?
Between you and Steve this past week has been absolute turmoil. But you guys are just stirring up. It's like I'm like the lonely child here. Mom and dad are just bickering. It's unbelievable.
I feel,
unbelievable.
You know what's funny? Everybody's talking about WrestleMania. I feel like we need a Royal Rumble because there's a lot of fans that probably just want to get in there and do something with that.
I called Netflix. I said, hey, I got two guys that, if you need anybody else on the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul card, I got two. So let's see if we can get after it. I think the weight and size, you might have to beef up a little bit. Hey, real quick before we move on, who do you got? Crystal or Mike Tyson or Jake Paul this week?
Oh man, it's so weird because like I see these Jake Paul fights and I feel like they're set up for him to win, and it's like if it was a real fight between them, it's weird because Mike Tyson's he's a lot older, so you don't know how much force are behind those punches, but like you can tell he still definitely has the speed, so it's really hard to tell. But I would pick Tyson just based on the speed, but not so sure if the force is there behind those punches anymore, like it used to be in his 30s.
I don't know, man. I've talked to some people who I thought for sure would pick Tyson. They're like, I think Jake Paul gets him. I would be in awe if Jake Paul takes him down. I think at Jake Paul, I mean, he looks thicker. He's put on some weight. But Mike Tyson's a dog, bro. I mean, he's a psychopath. And that killer instinct doesn't just go away. Like, I know he's got a little lift and he gets a little talking like this a little bit. But when he gets into the ring, bro, like, it's just psychopath behavior. And I watched him a couple fights ago. He was on Jake Paul's card when he fought Nate Robinson. And I can't remember who he fought, but he absolutely, and there was two old dudes fighting each other. Like Tyson looked like he still got it. And I know it's a couple years removed from that, but the guy still got it, dude. There's just something about, it's like riding a bike for these dudes. Like there is just, when it comes into the ring, when you create those muscles and you build those things, it never really ever goes away. And it's gonna be really interesting to see. But I think Jake gets whopped. I'd be shocked if he takes him down.
They did a side-by-side comparison of Tyson back in like when he was younger and a side-by-side now of him like sparring, and he still moves just as quick. It's insane.
It's going to be fun. But yeah, look, so a big weekend. Let's go over. Do you have the list? You want to just kind of go over it really quickly? Just a few of the big names, or I mean, you sent it to me. Just some of the sexy ones that are going to be there. I know our quarterback for 2026 is going to be there, which is, I got to pull it up. Here we go. Waltez Clark, our commit's going to be there. Jamie French, 5-star wide receiver, which is a big one. Joseph Mabacho, who recently decommitted, who was like all in, and obviously he got a lot of love after he was kind of a nobody. Now he's a 4-star defensive lineman. He'll be there. Big opportunity. Daniel Pierre-Louis, he's an FSU commit. He's an offensive lineman. He'll be there. Defensive lineman Stephon Shivers, 3-star. He'll be there as well. A lot of our guys that are currently committed, which is good to see, will be there. Myron Charles, defensive lineman from Texas commit, will be there. Tarquez Quarter, the 3-star defensive lineman from Newberry, somebody that we've constantly been in touch with. And I think he's, maybe he comes around. We'll see. And then a lot of 2026 guys will be there as well. Again, I don't put too much weight into those just because those guys kind of get thrown invites. The 2025 one is the real important one here. And it is top heavy, which is good to see.